Part 148. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1471. Chapter 1471. Miss Jiao doesn't seem to have any doubts. What other opinions does Jiao Mian have? She asked the other party to reconsider because she was afraid of cheating the other party. Since they decided to sign her after understanding everything, there was no reason for her to refuse. She has said everything that needs to be said anyway. When the time comes and the product really can't be sold, it's not her fault. Mr. Zhang, since you have thought it through, it would be a pleasure to cooperate. Jiao Mian curled her lips and stretched out a hand. Zhang Hai also extended his hand and said with a smile, Miss Jiao, happy cooperation. Asterisk. Zhang Hai left the set, got in the car, and made a phone call. After the call was connected, he respectfully said to the person on the other end of the phone, Mr. Gong, the matter has been settled. The man's deep and hoarse voice came over, has she signed the contract? Yes, the contract has been signed. According to the palace master's instructions, the normal signing fee was paid. Miss Jiao didn't seem to have any doubts. The other side. In the Gong family's studio. There are very few objects in Noda's studio. The white curtains were rolled up by the wind, and several pots of lilies that had just bloomed were planted on the exposed window sill. Out the window is the palace's garden. In the midsummer season, many flowers bloom on time, and at a glance, they are colorful. Miyazawa sat by the window, his shirt sleeves rolled up to his elbows, holding a paintbrush in one hand. After dipping some paint, he used the paintbrush to gently trace the outline of the girl's delicate and graceful face on the drawing board. He was holding a mobile phone in his other hand and answering the call. After saying a few words, he threw the phone aside. The man's attention was focused on the painting in front of him. On the drawing board, there is a girl with a delicate and beautiful face, long curly hair, and a white dress, sitting on the beach with bare feet. Her feet were soaked in the sea water, and part of her long skirt was also soaked in the sea water. There were several seagulls surrounding the girl. The girl stretched out her hand, holding a seagull in her palm. The girl looked at the seagull in her palm and smiled sweetly and warmly. This painting is almost completely finished. Gong Zili took the paintbrush and clicked on the girl's dark eyes. The girl's smart black eyes became even more angry when he looked at them. Miyazawa finished the last stroke and put away the brush. He sat in front of the easel, staring at the girl in the painting with his narrow, dark eyes for a long time. No matter how he painted, he could not paint her own charm. Gong Zili felt that he must have been in a daze during this period. After returning from the banquet that day, he began to dream about Jiao Mian more frequently. These nights, almost every night, she would enter his dream. He felt that he had a psychological problem and became abnormal. He seemed to have too little people in his heart, and the too little people kept arguing in his body every day. A villain said, "Don't bully your friend's wife. Jiao Mian is your brother's woman. Even if you like her, you can't have any thoughts about her. Gong Zili, just give up, it is impossible for you in this life." Another villain said, "It is not easy for you to meet the woman you like. Maybe except for her, you will never meet another woman who makes your heart beat again in this life. Do you really want to give up like this? Do you really not want to fight for it? Are you sure you won't regret it later?" Every day, these two thoughts will circulate endlessly in his mind. He spends his days in such contradictions. It was obvious that I had decided to give up, but on the second day, I felt unwilling and changed my mind again. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1472. Chapter 1472. The cousin is back from abroad. Jiao Mian Gong Zili stared at the girl in the painting and sighed softly, stretched out his hand to caress the delicate and beautiful face of the girl in the painting, and let out a bitter chuckle from his throat. What should I do with you? I am reluctant to give up on you, but now I have lost the qualification to have you. You have lived a happy life with him, and he has enough ability to give you happiness. Even if I don't care about anything, how can I win you back? I, Gongzili, have always been conceited, but if my opponent were him. So, should I give up on you? He talked to himself to the girl in the painting, saying he was giving up, but there was reluctance in his eyes. But, I am really unwilling to give up like this. I don't even have a chance to fight for it, and you are already at someone else's. Is God being too cruel to me? If I am destined not to have you, why should I let me discover you and be attracted to you? Mongzili never thought that one day, he would also be trapped by love. There are times when he asks for something but does not get it. It turns out that asking for something but not getting it can be so painful. Now even if he does something for her and wants to be nice to her, he has to do it in a different way, for fear that she will find out. Because once she knows, she will definitely refuse. So for this endorsement, he did not give her any more endorsements under Gongshi. Instead, he said hello to a friend and changed to a company that would not make her suspicious. Even so, he was still afraid that she would guess it. That's why I didn't dare to sign a first-tier product endorsement deal with her. Instead, I had someone specially choose a second-tier brand of skincare products to sign for her. Sure enough, this time she had no doubts anymore and happily signed the endorsement deal. Gongzili didn't even dare to give her a high signing fee. He was also afraid that she would become suspicious, so he paid it according to the normal market price. Although Chiao Mian signed this endorsement, Gongzili felt that what he gave her was not enough. He wants to be nice to her. Want to give her the best of everything he has. But he knew that he couldn't act too hastily, otherwise he would only scare her. So no matter how anxious he was, he could only endure it. Young master. Someone knocked on the door and stood at the door without entering the studio. Gongzili glanced at the person who knocked on the door, squinted his eyes, reached out to close the drawing board in his hand, turned around and said, "What's the matter?" The person at the door lowered his head with a respectful look, and said with lowered eyes, "Madam said that my cousin has returned from abroad. She will hold a welcome banquet for her tonight and let the young master go home for dinner." Miss Cousin, Gongzili frowned, obviously not knowing who she was. The people outside the door also saw his doubts, and immediately explained, "She is Miss Anya, the only daughter of the young master's second uncle. Don't you remember, young master, Miss Anya stayed at the Gong family for half a year before, and at that time, she always likes to follow the young master, and you gave her a nickname, the Clinging Spirit." After being reminded by his subordinates, Gongzili slowly remembered. He has such a cousin. But the two of them didn't meet often. Except for the half-year time together that the subordinate just mentioned, they rarely met each other after that. Miyazawa is indifferent by nature. Even towards his father-in-law, his mother-in-law, and the old man of the Gong family, he has always been indifferent. Not to mention cousins and the like. He has no feelings for this cousin. But he still nodded and said, "Well, I'll go back at night." Following the editor's notice, the title of the book has been changed. From now on, My Husband is Addicted to Pampering will be called My Hidden Marriage with a Super Boss. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1473. Chapter 1473. Isn't it director by? Who is that? He has not returned to the palace for some time. He heard that Mrs. Gong was not in good health recently, and he originally planned to go back for a visit in the next 2 days. As for that cousin, he had no interest at all. After waiting for the reply, the subordinate was ready to leave. "Wait." Gongzili suddenly stopped him. He immediately stopped and said, "Master, do you have any other instructions?" Gongzili half squinted his eyes and glanced at the scorching sun outside. After a few seconds of silence, he said, "Go and do something now." Asterisk. F City. Chiao Mian had just finished filming a scene under the bright sun, and it was so hot that she was sweating all over. Sweat was sliding down her forehead, her face was covered with sweat, and her face was a little red from the heat. There are several periods in the afternoon that are the hottest. The scene they were going to shoot had to be outdoors, so no matter how hot it was, they still had to stand in the sun and shoot for a long time. Fortunately, Chiao Mian's health is not bad. Otherwise, she felt that it was so hot that she might have a heat stroke. It's extremely hot today. Bai Yusheng was also afraid that the actors would suffer from heat stroke if the filming time was too long, so after Chiao Mian and Qin Han finished filming another scene, he called for a break for half an hour. Chiao Mian wiped her sweat and walked to the nanny car. As soon as I took a bottle of water from Nana's hand, I saw the crew's logistics staff coming over carrying several large boxes. After several people carried the box over, they placed it on the ground and opened it. The boxes were filled with fruit ice drinks and snacks. Those boxes were refrigerated storage boxes, and when they were opened, they were still steaming out of the air. "Wow, what is this? Who invited me to afternoon tea? Oh my God, it's so hot I want to drink something cold. Wow, Director Bai, is this the afternoon tea you're treating us to? These are afternoon teas made by the Royal Court Hotel, which are not cheap. Director Bai, you are too kind to us." A group of actresses were sweating from the heat, and their eyes were shining when they saw these boxes of frozen food. Bai Yusheng stood aside with an inexplicable expression on his face. "I'm not the one who invited you, who is so generous as to invite the whole crew to afternoon tea." When Bai Yusheng said this, he turned his head and glanced at Chiao Mian. To spend so generously and hire the entire crew at every turn is very similar to a certain person's style. Isn't it, Director Bai? Who is that? Whoever it is, thank you in advance. Wow, I really like this strawberry milkshake. Can you give me a drink? Everyone else, no matter who invited them, was busy getting their own share of afternoon tea. "Wow, someone invites you for afternoon tea, Mian, I'll get it for you." The crew occasionally invites people for afternoon tea. However, generally they are not invited to the imperial court level. Huangting is one of the best, largest, and most expensive hotels in F City. Afternoon tea costs thousands per guest and is not something ordinary people are willing to spend. Even if the artist's income is high, few people will treat him to such an expensive afternoon tea. After all, there are hundreds of people in the entire crew, so hiring a whole crew is a big expense. Like Bai Yusheng, everyone else guessed that the person entertaining the guests must be Chiao Mian's rich boyfriend. Eating people's mouth soft, not to mention that everyone knows what Chiao Mian is now. Many people have thanked her after taking things. Mian, thank you boyfriend for inviting us to afternoon tea." "Yes, Mian, your boyfriend is so kind, he often invites us to afternoon tea. It really costs him a lot of money." End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1474. Chapter 1474. Who are you talking about? Mian, your boyfriend is so kind to you, you are so happy. Mian's boyfriend is handsome and rich, and he treats her so well, we are so envious of her. Now Chiao Mian is the one who is praised by others. Everyone knows that she has found a rich, handsome boyfriend who likes her very much and cares about her. I also heard that she is Bai Yusheng's cousin. Bai Yusheng also takes care of her on the set and seems to value her very much. Where would anyone dare to exclude her like they did at first? In addition, even people who had misunderstandings about her gradually got to know her and roughly understood what kind of person she was. The prejudice against her will naturally disappear. Moreover, although some people are dissatisfied with Xiao Mianmian's relationship, Xiao Mianmian is not the kind of vase with little acting skills. Even if they were not convinced at first, after seeing Xiao Mianmian's acting skills, they had nothing to say. Xiao Mianmian held an ice drink that Nana had brought for her in her hand. Listening to the various thanksgivings around her, she took her mobile phone and sent a WeChat message to Mo Yesi, "Did you buy afternoon tea for our crew?" After waiting for almost a minute, Mo Yesi replied to her. "Mo Yesi? Someone invited your crew to tea?" "Not me." Xiao Mianmian was startled, "Not you?" Mo Yesi, "Well, it's not me." Xiao Mianmian just asked casually, and Mo Yesi said it wasn't him, so she didn't ask any more questions. She thought that maybe the boyfriend of one of the actresses on the set had invited her. Just like how Mo Yesi invited the crew to have afternoon tea before. Anyway, no matter who invited it, she would just drink it. Asterisk. In the next few days, a strange thing happened to the crew. Every afternoon, someone brings afternoon tea. At first, the crew thought it was a gift from Xiao Mianmian's boyfriend, but later Xiao Mianmian denied it. Others in the crew also said that they had never bought afternoon tea. Even Bai Yisheng felt strange and asked someone to ask. But nothing was asked. The hotel said it had signed a confidentiality agreement and could not disclose the buyer. This series of mysterious operations made Bai Yisheng extremely worried, so she took a few drinks to the hospital for testing. The test results came out and it was found that there was no poison or anything, and everything was normal. This matter became the most heated thing discussed by the crew after dinner. Everyone is speculating on who is showing love and spending a lot of money to treat the entire crew to afternoon tea every day. Is there a rich man who has fallen in love with a female artist on the crew and does not dare to express his feelings openly, so he uses this trick to express his feelings? It's also because of this matter. In the past few days, the actresses on the set have obviously put more effort into their makeup than before. Everyone fantasizes that maybe he or she is the person that the rich man has a secret crush on. Mian, who are you talking about? This afternoon tea is not cheap, right? If you treat me like this every day, you are not afraid of going bankrupt. And do you think this person is stupid? If he really likes any female artist in our crew, what's the use of this method? No one knows who he is. Xiao Mian is holding a piece of fruit shaved ice in her hand and eating it. She didn't really care who the so-called secret admirer was. She felt that since the other person chose this method, he definitely didn't want his identity to be exposed. If you don't choose to reveal your identity, it's because of inconvenience. She was not interested in who the man was anyway. Speaking of which, she was more interested in the shaved ice in her hand. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1475. Chapter 1475. Her dream is to marry him. However, if that man is really pursuing the female artist on the set, and the conditions are really good, Xiao Mian will help to talk to him after he has been with her for so long. If nothing else, she just said that the man bought her the things she liked to eat for afternoon tea every day, so she felt that she had to help speak. Of course, the premise is that the man is willing to show up in the future. Asterisk. At this moment, Mong Zili, the idiot in Nana's mouth, was sitting in a restaurant with a sullen face. Opposite him sat a young girl with bangs cut and curly hair. The girl looks to be in her early 20s at most, wearing a pink princess dress. She has bright eyes and white teeth. When she smiles, her eyebrows are crooked. She has the unique charm and sweetness of a little girl. Anya looked at the handsome and suffocating face of the man across from her with some fascination. She felt excited when she thought that the elders of the two families wanted to match them up. She has liked Gongzili since she was a child. I have been secretly in love with him for many years. Her dream is to marry him and be his wife. This will be the happiest thing for her. She didn't seem to feel the man's indifference and impatience. She held her chin with one hand and smiled sweetly at Gongzili. She said in a soft voice, "Brother Zili, I heard that you will officially take over Gongzili soon. Yes, is this true?" Gongzili raised his wrist and looked at the time. Without even raising his eyes, he responded in a low voice, "Yes." This sound can be heard by anyone as extremely perfunctory. But Anya didn't seem to hear it. "Wow, you are so awesome," she blinked with admiration on her face. "I heard from my dad that you will be the youngest president in the history of the Gong family. Even he was full of praise for you and said that you are particularly outstanding. Let me learn from you." Men all enjoy women's adoration and admiration. Anya feels that Moyesi is no exception. She looked at him with bright eyes and said sweetly, "I also think that Brother Zili, you are super powerful. You are my idol." Anya has a very sweet appearance, and she is also very sweet and pure in her dress. She looks like a high school student who is not yet an adult. She has a good family background and good looks. She is usually very popular and sought after by the opposite sex. But she didn't seem to realize that those members of the opposite did not include Gongzili. The man didn't feel anything about her words. He just raised his wrist and looked at the time, with a trace of impatience flashing in his eyes. Why haven't they arrived yet? Tonight, the two families made an appointment to have dinner together. Mrs. Gong repeatedly told Gongzili to be there. Gongzili originally wanted to come over for a formality, but just found an excuse to leave after showing up. But after he came over, he discovered that the so-called gathering between two families had turned into a separate gathering for him and Anya. At first, he thought he had arrived early and the other elders of the two families were still on the way. He waited patiently for more than 10 minutes. But as he waited, he realized something was wrong. "Are you talking about my mom and aunt?" Anya raised her eyes to look at him, with a hint of shyness in her eyes, biting the corner of her lip gently and said, "Auntie said that they won't come to disturb us young people when we are dating. He said we don't have to wait for them. Brother Zili, are you hungry? Why don't we start ordering?" Hearing this, Gongzili's face darkened. He pushed the chair away and stood up. Anya was stunned for a moment, then raised her head and looked at him. "What's wrong, Brother Zili?" Gongzili's eyes flashed with anger, and he endured it, but did not vent it out on Anya. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1476. Chapter 1476. Get out of here, don't touch me. I still have something to do, you can eat slowly by yourself. After leaving these words, he turned and left. Anya was stunned for a few seconds. When she came to her senses, Gongzili's figure had already reached the stairs and soon went downstairs. "Brother Zili." Anya immediately got up and chased after him. While chasing, she shouted, "Brother Zili, wait for me, where are you going?" Gongzili walked quickly downstairs without stopping. Anya is petite and usually wears high heels to look taller. She was chasing someone on high heels that were more than 10 centimeters tall. She couldn't even take 2 steps before her feet staggered. The waiter on the side saw this and immediately supported her. Fortunately, the waiter took action in time, otherwise she would have fallen to the ground. But the waiter's timely help was rewarded with a slap on the face. "Go away, don't touch me." Anya pushed the waiter away with a look of disgust, raised her hand, and hit the waiter on the face. She also took out her handkerchief and wiped the area where the waiter had just supported her. The look of disgust on her face and the slap she slapped made the waiter embarrassed and humiliated. But the waiter knew that this was someone he couldn't afford to offend. He could only accept the grievance, covered his face and stepped aside, humbly apologizing, "Missin, I'm sorry. I was afraid that you would fall, so." Anya was not in the mood to listen to his explanation. She didn't care that she almost fell down, and hurriedly chased him downstairs. Asterisk. By the time Anya ran downstairs panting, Gong Zili had already reached the door of the restaurant. "Brother Zili." Anya trotted after him again. She finally caught up with Gong Zili before he got into the car. "Brother Zili, wait a moment, I have something to tell you." Anya stopped Gong Zili and refused to let him get in the car. Gong Zili's face darkened when he saw her, and he said patiently, "Do you have anything else to say?" "Brother Zili, why do you want to leave suddenly?" Anya bit her lip. When she saw Gong Zili, she couldn't help but blush and her heart beat. She was so nervous that it was a little difficult to breathe. Even though she is still angry. But in front of Gong Zili, she could not remember the things she was angry about. Gong Zili, like Mo Yesi, had been born well since childhood, and his appearance was popular among girls. Even though their personalities are intimidating, they still capture the hearts of many girls with their good looks and prominent background. Anya is one of them. She went to the Gong family as a guest that year and fell in love with Gong Zili at the first sight. She has been secretly in love for so many years and has never found a boyfriend. It's because she can't hold any other man in her heart except Gong Zili. The An family is the home of the richest man in Sea City, and Anya is the only daughter of Nkuahue, the richest man in Sea City. Nkuahue had such a daughter, so she naturally regarded her as a treasure and doted on her like the apple of her eye. Everything Anya wants, Nkuahue will satisfy his daughter. After knowing that his daughter liked Gong Zili, Nkuahue went to Mrs. Gong and revealed his intention to marry the two families. Mrs. Gong naturally has no objections. Gong Zili is old enough to get married, and the An family is a good match for the Gong family. Anya's status as a well-known pianist also satisfies Mrs. Gong. After the two families were settled, they decided to create opportunities for their children. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1477. Chapter 1477. I already have a woman I like. So we arranged a date for tonight. Mrs. Gong knew what kind of character her son was, so she coaxed Gong Zili over. Mrs. Gong thought that Anya was a very good girl, and Gong Zili would definitely like her. But how did she know that Gong Zili already had a crush on her? Gong Zili lowered his head and looked at Anya, who looked shy in front of him with blushing cheeks. He was silent for a few seconds and said in a cold voice, "Missin, I think I'd better say what I have to say directly, lest Missin treat me badly. What a misunderstanding. Missin must have noticed that your family and mine are going to match us up." Anya was stunned, and her cheeks suddenly turned redder. With a coy look, she quickly glanced at Gong Zili, then lowered her eyes and said shyly, it turns out that Brother Zili has also noticed it." "Then I don't know what Brother Zili thinks." Mong Zili was not interested in girls like Anya. What's more, he already has someone in mind. He even didn't want to look at Anya for a second time. He has experienced a lot of women, so he can naturally tell that Anya means something to him. He felt that he should make it clear as soon as possible. Gong Zili thought for a moment and said directly, "I'm sorry, Missin, you are not my type. And I already have a woman I like. So I think this matter is over. If Missin is willing, we can be ordinary friends." Anya's eyes widened. Just be ordinary friends. Well, Gong Zili looked at her again with a cold look in his eyes. "Of course, if Missin doesn't want to, then forget it. I still have something to do, please let Miss N stop blocking my car door. Anya was stunned and realized that she had indeed blocked Gongzili's car door. She blushed in embarrassment. Mongzili didn't look at her again, opened the car door and got into the car, and then left directly. He drove away for a while, but Anya still stood there without moving. She was still thinking about what Gongzili said. As she thought about it, her eyes became red with anger. At this moment, the mobile phone rang. Anya glanced at it, bit her lip and picked up. "Baby, how are you chatting with your aunt's son now? Have you eaten? I have 2 concert tickets here, which will be delivered to you in a moment. After dinner, you can go back to everything, listen to a concert to promote feelings. Promote a ghost's feelings. Anya is not officially a daughter of a famous family. Because although the N family is very rich, it is different from the Gong family and the Mo family, which are truly famous families with hundreds of years of heritage. The N family became rich during Anya's father's generation. Speaking of it, Anya is a daughter of a famous family, but her upbringing and etiquette are not very good. She was so angry that she vented her anger on Mrsan. Brother Zili has left, and I am not with him now. It was all your bad idea. You arranged this blind date without telling Brother Zili. This incident is very repulsive because I am dissatisfied with it." "What? You said your aunt's son has left? Does he know that our 2 families want to bring you together? Brother Zili is such a smart person, how could he not know this?" Anya said angrily. "He doesn't like people lying to him the most. He must have a bad impression of me now. It's all your fault. What should I do now?" End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1478. Chapter 1478. I don't want anyone except him. Baby, don't be angry yet. Are you saying that your aunt's son knows that we want to marry you? My baby is so good, but he doesn't want to. Anya rubbed her red eyes and said angrily, "He said he has a woman he likes, and he also said he is not interested in girls like me." "Did he really say that?" "It's not true. How can I still lie to you? My baby is so good, but he still doesn't like him despite being pursued by so many boys. I think he must have bad taste. Don't like him anymore. Wait until mom introduces you to a better one again." "No, I want Brother Zili," Anya interrupted Mrsan, thinking about Gongzili's handsome and enchanting face. Her heart beat faster again. "I don't want anyone except him." Mrsan seemed startled for a moment, but, "Didn't you say that he has a woman he likes?" Maybe he said it out of anger. Anya thought for a moment and comforted herself. Yes, that's definitely the case. He was angry, so he said it out of anger. Anyway, no matter what, don't introduce me to him again. Among other men, I only want Brother Zili. If I can't marry him, I will never get married in this life. Yaya, do you think this is what a little girl should say? People shouldn't laugh at you if they hear you. Mom, I don't care, I just like Brother Zili and I just want to marry him anyway. I won't marry him unless I have him. Anya doesn't believe that Gongzili is really not interested in her. She is confident in her own charm. As long as it's a man she wants, there's nothing she can't get. Asterisk. After Xiaomi and Mian signed the endorsement deal for Shuexia's facial mask, Shuexia officially announced the matter on Weibo, and liked Xiaomi and Mian. At the same time, Shuexia posted another Weibo post, signing a new spokesperson for another facial mask from the same company, and then appointed Xiao Angzhen. As soon as these 2 Weibo posts were posted, they aroused heated discussions. Xiao Angzhen and Xiaomi and Mian are sisters. They had such trouble before, but now they actually signed an endorsement deal with the same company. Netizens have been discussing whether Shuexia did it on purpose. "I deliberately invited 2 sisters to endorse the new facial mask together, so as to create a hotspot and increase the sales volume of the facial mask. Have Jiao Angzhen and Jiao Mian actually signed a facial mask endorsement deal with the same company? What do you think, which facial mask will sell better? In terms of popularity, Jiao Angzhen is definitely better. In any case, Jiao Angzhen is also a real first-line flower, and her sales ability should be okay. As for Jiao Mian, he hasn't had any work so far, just relying on the scandals that have been trending for 3 days seem familiar to me. I really don't know what Xue thinks. She actually signed her. Isn't she afraid that the product will not be sold? But, I think Jiao Mian is very beautiful, and her skin is super good. Her endorsement of skincare products will make people want to buy them. Netizens discussed it enthusiastically. Neither of the two parties knows about this matter yet. When Jiao Angzhen found out that she and Jiao Mian actually endorsed the same facial mask company, she couldn't help but sneer when she looked at the Weibo post on the official blog. Songfang also saw the Weibo post. Songfang is now Jiao Angzhen's agent. As an old employee of Xinggui, Songfang certainly knew that Jiao Angzhen and Jiao Mian had always been at odds. The two were originally incompatible, and now they have signed an endorsement deal with the same company, and they both signed endorsement deals for facial masks. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1479. Chapter 1479. I will give her a hard slap in the face when the time comes. Even if the same company has different products, endorsements signed during the same period must be compared in sales. Songfang smiled and said, "Xin, why are you so angry? Her ability to carry goods is definitely not as good as yours. Once the sales volume comes out, the company will know who is the most correct person to sign. You have works, reputation, and fans. I think Jiao Mian will lose badly." Jiao Angzhen pursed her lips, but the expression on her face still looked a little unhappy. "I haven't worried about anything you said. I just didn't understand what Xue thought and actually signed Jiao Mian. I don't want to be signed to the same company as this bitch. Maybe it's because she is often on trending searches, and I think signing her can drive sales. It just so happens that the products you signed are all launched on the same antenna, so you'll know how the sales will be at a glance." Jiao Angzhen squeezed the phone tightly, gritted her teeth and sneered, "Then I will hit her hard in the face." Asterisk. When Jiao Mian learned that she and Jiao Angzhen had signed an endorsement contract with the same company, she was a little surprised, but her mentality was relatively stable. 2 days later, Xue called and asked Jiao Mian if she had time to help them shoot a short commercial. Jiao Mian happened to have finished filming a scene, and her role in the next 2 days was very small. After asking Bai Yisheng, she agreed. After confirming the location where the advertisement was shot, Jiao Mian took Nana there with her. Arrived at the filming location, Jiao Mian was led into the filming location by the staff. A shed was set up at the filming location with some filming tools placed inside. As soon as Jiao Mian walked in, she heard a familiar laughter. She paused, and after standing at the door for a few seconds, the expression on her face returned to normal, and she continued walking in. The staff member who led them over quickly walked up to the director. "Director Zhao, Miss Jiao Mian is here." As soon as the staff member finished speaking, Jiao Angzhen, who was joking with the director, suddenly raised his head. When she saw Jiao Mian, Jiao Angzhen's eyes darkened and the smile on her face solidified. Jiao Mian ignored her and just greeted the director politely, "Hello, Director Zhao, I am Jiao Mian." The director raised his head, and when his eyes fell on Jiao Mian, he was stunned for a moment, with obvious surprise in his eyes. His main task today is to shoot an advertisement for Xiao Mian and Xiao Angzhen each to promote the new product launch in 2 days. So before this, he had seen their relevant information. There is not much difference between Xiao Angzhen and the photo, so the director didn't feel anything else when he saw her. But Xiao Mian is the type who is quite stunning in photos, but she is even more stunning in person than in photos. Just when the director saw her photo, he felt that her appearance was one of the best in the industry. Now that I saw him in person, I was truly amazed. Because he never thought that Xiao Mian would be much prettier in person than in the photos, and countless times more beautiful than Xiao Angzhen from Xiajiabiu. After seeing her, the director just wanted to film her. In an instant, he completely forgot about Xiao Angzhen. Xiao Angzhen naturally did not ignore the stunning look in the director's eyes. Seeing the director staring at Xiao Mian as if in a trance, she secretly cursed in her heart, trying to draw the director's attention back to her. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1480. Chapter 1480. Miss Xiao, why don't we go over and talk? She called out delicately, Director Zhao. The director seemed not to have heard anything and was still looking at Xiao Mian. Xiao Angzhen became even more angry, bit her lip, and shouted again without giving up, Director Zhao. At this moment, the director finally looked away from Xiao Mian's face. But he still ignored Xiao Angzhen, but looked at Xiao Mian and said, Ms. Xiao, I just took a look and found that your skin is very good. So I want to ask, are you willing to shoot advertisements without makeup? I think it adds a lot of points to the product itself by showing it to the audience without makeup. It is very rare for an artist to appear on camera without makeup, and she is also a female artist. Most female artists will not agree. In fact, directors generally do not make such requests. So after making the request, the director felt a little regretful the next second and felt that he shouldn't have made it. However, he felt that Xiao Mian had very good skin and heavy makeup was not suitable for her. She would be more acceptable if she wore no makeup. Her appearance, even without makeup, is still very attractive. It is completely different from Xiao Angzhen, a female artist who needs cosmetics to look good with good skin. That's why the director proposed to appear without makeup. Such a request made Xiao Angzhen stunned for a moment. But she did not feel happy. Because she knew what Xiao Mian looked like without makeup. Do I need to appear without makeup? Okay, Xiao Mian nodded and agreed without much thought. She agreed too readily. The director was stunned, and asked with some uncertainty, are you sure? The makeup I require is pure makeup, no makeup at all. Xiao Mian nodded, yes, director, I'm sure. Didn't you say that you should appear without makeup? Is there any problem? Of course there is no problem. The director only confirmed it with her because he was too surprised. After all, Xiao Mian was the first person to so readily agree that he was willing to shoot an advertisement without makeup. Other female celebrities, even if they say they are barefaced, actually wear a light layer of makeup. That is not really pure makeup, but a fake makeup look. So, speaking of it, Xiao Mian is the first female artist who dared to allow him to shoot without makeup. No problem, the director seemed a little excited after confirming that she was really willing to shoot the commercial without makeup. Ms. Xiao, regarding some of the subsequent shooting situations, I think we can talk in detail now. Miss Xiao, why don't we go over and talk? What the director meant was that he and Xiao Mian would change places to talk alone. Xiao Angzhen, who was trying to get the director's attention back to her, suddenly turned dark when she heard this. I was so angry that my head was almost smoking. Before Xiao Mian came, she and the director had a good chat. But as soon as Xiao Mian came, the director seemed to have forgotten that she was there, and completely ignored her. Xiao Angzhen maintained that she was just a little girl, and thought that her reputation and status in the entertainment industry were far behind Xiao Mian. She felt that the director must be focusing on her and would not take Xiao Mian seriously at all. But now, the director obviously looks very interested in Xiao Mian. Instead, she was left out. She looks like a newcomer outside the 18th line. This made Xiao Angzhen feel extremely unbalanced. It's okay if she can't compare to Xiao Mian elsewhere. But Xiao Mian is obviously a newcomer who is not even considered to be above the 18th level, so why should the director value her? End of this chapter.